Hello students, welcome to Epitome IAS. This is Mansoor. So as a part of Geography Ncert series, so far we have finished two chapters in 9th class Ncert, and in previous class we started the third chapter, right? So in third chapter we have seen the overview of this particular chapter, and we have seen what we are going to discuss in this particular chapter. So in last class we have seen regarding some basic definitions of drainage basin, and what is meant by water divide, and what is meant by distributary, and what is meant by tributary, right? So we have seen all those things, and the entire water system, or the entire river system, or the entire drainage basins of India, we can completely divide them into two classifications, or we can completely divide into two things, right? The first one is the rivers which are originating from Himalayan mountains, and the second type of a classification would be the rivers which are originating in peninsular India, right? So we have seen some basic definitions and basic things which are given in this particular chapter, and we have seen the three different phases of a river, and we have seen where does this erosional activity will happen. That means in which phase of the river does erosional activity will be happening at the maximum level, and the depositional activity will be happening in different phases, phase 2 and phase 3, right? So we have seen regarding the three phases of the rivers, and we have understood that whenever there is a decrease in slope, what happens? We might be seeing the creation of meanders, or creation of oxbow lakes, or creation of a certain sort of depositional activity, right? So we have seen all those things in previous part. Now in today's class, as we were discussing in the previous class, that is, we will be discussing regarding the Himalayan rivers. So what is meant by Himalayan river? Obviously the name itself says that these kind of rivers are having certain sort of a relationship with Himalayan. Now in this particular case, what is that relationship? These rivers are originated from this particular Himalayan rivers. Now if you see the content which was given in this particular NCERT, he is saying that the major Himalayan rivers are Indus River, Ganga River, and Brahmaputra River. And the point here is, even when we are reading regarding the plains, particularly northern plains, right, we have seen that these particular plains are formed because of three major rivers. So what are those three major rivers? First one is first one is Indus River, second one is Ganga River, third one is Brahmaputra River. Now in this particular chapter, we are going to see regarding these three rivers, right? And these rivers are long and are joined by many large and important tributaries. A river along with its tributary may be called as a river system. So what does it mean? It means he is saying that generally we would be calling a term, or we would be calling these particular rivers with their tributaries as a river system, right? So here he has given that particular definition of a river system. What is meant by river system? For suppose if we take any main river, right, that main river would be having a lot of tributaries, right, and it would be having a lot of distributaries. And here he is saying that a river system is nothing but the main river along with its tributaries. So this particular combination is called as a river system. Here you have to understand that he is saying tributary, he is not mentioning distributary, right? Now this is an important thing which we have to remember. Now the first river is Indus River, and we would be talking regarding the Indus River system. What does it mean? It means that we will be studying from where this particular Indus River has been originated. Along with that, we will be seeing its tributaries, right? So the tributaries plus the main river calls as a river system, and now we are going to see regarding the Indus River system. If you see this particular Indus River system, where does this Indus River has been originated? It was originated in Tibet, near which lake? Lake Manasarovar, right? This is an important point, because the point of origin for this particular Indus River is in Tibet. And if you see this particular Manasarovar lake, it was happening near this particular Manasarovar lake. And if you see this particular river after originating near Manasarovar Lake, it would be flowing towards the western side. This is also an important point. And the point is, it is originating in Tibet, right? And it is flowing towards the western side. If you try to locate this particular thing in map, you would be identifying that after originating in Tibet, this particular river would be entering into India. So that is what given here. After originating in Manasarovar, near Manasarovar Lake, it would be flowing towards the western side and it would be entering India. Now the point is, where does Indus River would be entering into India? If you see this particular point, it would be coming under the Ladakh district, which is happening in Jammu and Kashmir state. Right. Now it forms a picture gorge. Right. What is meant by gorge? Gorge is a landform which was formed because of erosional activity of a river. Right. We have seen that rivers would be acting as an erosional agents as well as the depositional agents. Now this gorge is something which was formed because of the erosional activity of a river. How does a gorge look like? For suppose, if you try to observe, right, this particular thing is called as gorge, and you would be seeing the river flowing, in between these two high elevated highlands, right? So this particular landform, it is called as an gorge. Now the point here is, when it enters into India, it is saying that this particular river would be forming a gorge, and several tributaries like Jaskar, Nubra and Shyok as well as Hunza. All these are small rivers, right? So Jaskar river, Nubra river, Shyok river and Hunza river, all these small rivers would be coming and it would be joining this particular Indus river in which region? In Kashmir region. Now what happened? After joining of all these small rivers, it would be further flows through Baltistan and Gilgit and emerges from the mountains at Attock. Now what does it mean? It means that, see, try to remember, try to picturize. The point is, after originating from Tibet, right near Manasarovar Lake, this particular Indus river would be traveling towards the western side and it would be entering into India, right, in Ladakh district, and it would be further traveling towards the western side, and there the small rivers like Jaskar river and Nubra river as well as Ashok river and Hunza river, they would be joining with this particular Indus river, and then it would be further traveling towards the western side and it would near Baltistan and Gilgit. What happens? It emerges out of these mountain ranges. So what is the mountain range that is present there? It was Attock. Near Attock, it would be coming out of those mountain ranges. Now, if you see here, the Satluj, Beas and Ravi, Chenab and Jhelum, they join together to enter Indus near Mithankot in Pakistan. Now what happens? If you see this Indus river would be, it would be traveling towards the western side and from the point of origin, and it would be entering into Jammu and Kashmir and in Ladakh region, and it would be going to the Pakistan. Now what happens? All these particular tributaries, right? Either it might be Satluj, Beas, Ravi, Jhelum, all these things would be originating at different places, and they would be coming and they would be mixing with this particular Indus river in Mithankot. Now this Mithankot was situated in where? It was situated in Pakistan. Now beyond this, the Indus river flows southwards, eventually reaching the Arabian Sea, and where does this particular Indus river would be reaching into Arabian Sea? It would be to the eastern side of this particular Karachi. Now the Indus plain has very gentle slope with a total length of 2,900 kilometers. The point is, this particular Indus river, it would be having a gentle slope, and if you see the length of this particular Indus river, right, it would be traveling 2,900 kilometers. So Indus is one of the longest rivers of the world. Now the point is, here they are saying that Indus is one of the longest river, right? It is not the longest river, it is one of the longest rivers of the world. And if you see here, this Indus basin, some point or some part of the entire Indus basin, it was located in India. So in which states does we can see this particular river basin? In Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, and the rest of the particular Indus basin can be seen in Pakistan. Right, only 1/3 of the Indus basin is situated in India. So that too in which states? Obviously in Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, and the Punjab state. Right. So only in these three states we can see the Indus basin. Right. The entire Indus basin was situated in Pakistan. Now the second important river is Ganga river, and here we would be seeing regarding the Ganga river system. Now if you see this particular Ganga river system or else Ganga river, it was formed because of a confluence of Bhagirathi, right, and Alkananda river. Now if you see this Bhagirathi is gaining water from Gangotri glacier, and that particular Bhagirathi was joined by Alkananda at Devaprayag in Uttar Pradesh, and from there, that particular at the point of confluence of Bhagirathi and Alkananda, we will be calling that entire river as Ganga river. And what happens at Haridwar? At Haridwar, Ganga would be emerging out of these mountain ranges, and it would be coming into the plain zone or the plain region. Now if you see here, this particular Ganga, it was joined by many tributaries, right? So not only from Himalayas, even from the peninsular plateau as well, some of the rivers would be joining with the Himalayan mountain, that is the Ganga river, right? So this Ganga river not only has the tributaries from the Himalayas, but also from the peninsular plateau, right? Now the point here is, if you see this particular Ganga river, the important tributaries are Yamuna, Gagara, Gandak, and Koshi river. And if you see this particular Yamuna river rises from the Gangotri glacier, which is present in Himalayan mountains. Now this particular Ganga river, it would be, or else this particular Yamuna river, it would be flowing parallel to the Ganga river, and this particular Yamuna river is called as an right bank tributaries, and this particular Yamuna river would be joining or would be mixing with the Ganga river at Allahabad, right? And the Gagara and Gandak and Koshi rise in Nepal Himalayas. They are the rivers which flood plots of northern plains every year, causing widespread of damage to life and property, but enriching the soil for extensive agricultural lands. The point is, see, here we have to understand that this particular Ganga river is having a lot of tributaries, right? In that, Yamuna river is one of the major important tributary, right? This particular Yamuna river would be flowing parallel to this Ganga river, and it would be joining the Ganga river in Allahabad, right? We call it as in Devaprayag. So that is different story. Now the point here is, even this Gagara, Kosi, right, Gandak, all these rivers are originated from Himalayan rivers that are, Himalayan mountains that are present in Nepal. Now these rivers, they will be creating a lot of activity, flood activity, right? They would be destroying the vegetation or the wildlife which was present there in the surrounding regions because of the floods. But the point here is, even though they are destroying, or even though they are creating lot of floods, these particular rivers would be helping in accumulation of a lot of alluvial soils, and because of that particular reason, the soil which is present in and around that particular Ganga river or those particular rivers would be very, very rich in agriculture. Now the main tributaries which comes from peninsular uplands, the Chambal, Betwa, and the Son. As I told you earlier, this Ganga river is not only having the tributaries from Himalayan mountains, right? The rivers originated from Himalayan mountains, but even this river is having tributaries from the peninsular plateau as well, right? If you see these rivers called Chambal river, Betwa river, and Son river, they are also the tributaries of Ganga river, but the point is they are originated from the peninsular uplands. Now these rivers from semi-arid area have shorter course and do not carry much water in them. The point here is because these particular rivers are originated in peninsular highlands, first of all there won't be the continuous source for water, and moreover these particular rivers are originated in semi-arid zone. What does it mean? It means that this particular central highlands or peninsular highlands or uplands are in semi-arid zone. Because of that particular reason, what happens? As I told you earlier, there won't be the continuous source for the water. So because of that reason, they would be having very shorter lengths, or the length of the rivers would be very, very shorter, as well as the water carried in those rivers would be very, very shorter. Now, enlarged with the waters from its right and left bank tributaries, the Ganga river flows eastwards till Farakka in West Bengal. What does it mean? It means that after combination or after combining with all the tributaries, this particular Ganga river would be flowing towards the eastern side of India, right, until the Farakka. Right, in Farakka we are having a Farakka barrage on this particular river, and up to West Bengal it would be flowing. And what happens? This is the northernmost point of Ganga delta. So this particular point where the Ganga river flows until the Farakka, that particular point is the northernmost point of this particular Ganga delta. Now the river bifurcates here. So if you see the bifurcation, the first one would be the Bhagirathi Hooghly. It is an distributary. Now the point here is, if small streams are coming and joining with a big river, that those streams are called as an tributaries, right? Now these particular Bhagirathi and Hooghly river, they are dividing or they are separating from the main river. So that particular river is called as an distributary, right? And this particular Bhagirathi and Hooghly, it flows southwards through the deltaic plains of the Bay of Bengal. What happens? From West Bengal or near or in West Bengal, this particular Ganga river would be dividing into two different rivers. The one of the river system is, or one of the river is Bhagirathi and Hooghly river. They would be traveling towards the southern side of that particular point, and the main stream flows southwards into Bangladesh and is joined by the Brahmaputra. Then what happens? The main stream, right, the main Ganga river, it would be flowing towards the southern side and it would be entering into Bangladesh. And after entering into Bangladesh, what happened? This particular Ganga river is mixed with the Brahmaputra river, and after mixing with Brahmaputra river, it would be further moving towards the downside, that is southern side, and there it is called as Meghna. What does it mean? When Ganga river meets with Brahmaputra river and when it starts flowing towards the southern side, right, so that particular river is called as Meghna river. So this mighty river with waters from Ganga and Brahmaputra flows into Bay of Bengal. The delta formed by these rivers is called as Sundarban delta. Now, after the formation of Meghna river, what happens? This particular river will be going to the point of destination. Here, what is the point of destination? The place where this particular river is meeting with the sea, and this particular Meghna river will be confluencing or will be meeting with this Bay of Bengal. And if you see the delta or if you see the plain which was formed because of this particular Ganga river, we are calling it as an Sundarban delta. Now what is meant by delta? Delta is a landform which was created near the confluence of a river with the sea, right? How does this delta will be forming? Delta will be forming because of depositional activity done by this particular river, right? All the sediments will be deposited at that particular place. So because of that, we can see the formation or creation of a new land area. And if you see this particular delta, it is very, very rich in alluvial and they are very good for agriculture. Now if you see the length of Ganga, Ganga is having a length of 2500 kilometers. Now what was the length of Indus river? 2900 kilometers. Ganga river is having 2500 kilometers, right? Now if you see this particular Ganga river, and there is a place called Ambala, right? So this Ambala is a place which would be acting as an water divide between the Indus River as well as the Ganga River. Now, what is meant by water divide? Water divide is nothing but it is an high raised mountain or high raised upland or high raised plateau, whatever it might be, right? So, it would be dividing the two river basins, right? So, one side it would be having one river basin, second side, other side it would be having another river basin. It would be dividing the two river systems or two river basins, right? Now, Ambala, near Ambala we will be having this particular water divide between Indus River as well as Ganga River. Now, the plains from Ambala to Sundarban stretch over nearly 1800 kilometers, but fall in its slope is hardly 300 meters. What does it mean? It means that if you see from Ambala, which is in Punjab, from Ambala to this particular Sundarban delta, you can see the stretch of this particular plain area would be 1800 kilometers. But the point is, the slope would be very, very less. It is only 300 meters. Or in other words, we can say that there is a fall of just 1 meter for every 6 kilometers. What does it mean? From that particular Ambala, when you are traveling towards the eastern side up to Sundarban, you would be seeing the slope would be very, very less. Or in other words, you can tell that for every 6 kilometers, you can see the reduction of height only up to 1 meter. 1 meter height is reduced for every 6 kilometers if you are traveling from Ambala to this particular Sundarban delta, right? That plane is having only less gradient, right? Less slope gradient. Now, the point is, because of this less slope, what happens? The velocity of a river would be very slow. So, because or whenever there is velocity of river has been decreased, we can see the formation of depositional features, right? Either it might be the meanders or either it might be the oxbow lakes. Now, the third important river under the Himalayan river system is the Brahmaputra river. Now, if you see this particular Brahmaputra river, the point of origination is in Tibet, and if you see this Manasarovar lake, to the east side of Manasarovar lake, we can see the origin of this particular Brahmaputra river. Now, what about Indus River? Again, Indus River is also originated near this Manasarovar lake. So, we can say that near Manasarovar lake, there are two important rivers which are originating. One is Indus River, second one is Brahmaputra river. And to the east side of Indus River, we will be seeing this point of origination. Now, it is slightly longer than Indus River, right? The Brahmaputra river is somewhat bigger than this particular Indus River. And if you see this Manasarovar lake, not only Indus River and Brahmaputra river, there is one more river, that is Sutlej. Even Sutlej has been originated near this particular Manasarovar lake, right? And most of its course lies outside of India. What does it mean? Even though Brahmaputra is longer than Indus River, majority of its path, majority of its stream course, it was lying in outside of India, right? Generally, if you see this particular Brahmaputra river, it flows eastward after the point of origination, and it would be flowing parallelly to the Himalayan mountains, right? After the point of origination, it would be flowing towards the eastern side. If you see Indus and Sutlej, they would be moving towards the western side. And on reaching Nancha Barwa, it takes a U-turn and enters in India in Arunachal Pradesh through a gorge. Now, what happens? After originating from that particular point of source, which is towards the eastern side of Manasarovar lake, this particular Brahmaputra river would be flowing parallelly to Himalayas, right? So, it would be entering into India in Arunachal Pradesh, right? At which place? Near this Nancha Barwa, which is 7,757 meters higher when compared to the mean sea level, right? It would be entering into Arunachal Pradesh, and here this particular river, after entering into Arunachal Pradesh, is called as Dihang river, right? So, after traveling to a distance, what happens? You can see other rivers would be coming and joining with this particular Brahmaputra river. Those rivers are called as tributaries, right? So, if you see here in Arunachal Pradesh, you can see Dibang river, Lohit river, and there are some other small rivers which would be coming and joining this main Brahmaputra rivers as its tributaries, right? Now, in Tibet, the river carries a smaller volume of water and less silt as it is cold and dry area. Now, the point here is, during the first phase, or when the river has been originated until it enters the plain area, the slope would be very, very high. So, because of that particular reason, what happens? You can see the lot of erosional activity. But in case of Brahmaputra river, because it is traveling throughout this particular Tibet region, this river would be carrying only very less silt. Why? The reason is, it would be having very small volume of water, right? And it passes, in India, it passes through a region of high rainfall. Here the river carries large volume of water. So this particular Tibet region is having only less amount of water in Brahmaputra river. But when it enters into India, since this Arunachal Pradesh, Assam and this Meghalaya, they are very, very heavily, the rainfall would be very, very high in this particular area. So because of entering of this Brahmaputra river into the region which has a heavy rainfall, you will be seeing the drastic increase in the amount of water which is present in that particular Brahmaputra river. And whenever there is high amount of water, we have to understand that the amount of silt or the sediments would be very, very high in that particular river. The Brahmaputra has a braided channel in its entire length in Assam and forms many riverine islands. Now the point here is, this particular Brahmaputra river would be forming main or would be forming more riverine islands, right, because of its huge water, right, because of the huge silt which was deposited by this particular water which was flushed out or which was carried away by this particular river. They would be forming large riverine islands, and majorityly you can see this particular riverine islands in Assam. Now every year during the rainy season, what happens? The river overflows its banks, causing widespread devastation due to floods in Assam and Bangladesh. Unlike other North Indian rivers, the Brahmaputra is marked by huge deposits of silt on its bed, causing a river bed to rise. The river also shifts its channel frequently. What does it mean? Even though this Brahmaputra river is having a huge amount of water but huge amount of silt, there is a problem with this particular Brahmaputra river, right? Because of a huge amount of water, what happens? Frequently you can see this Brahmaputra river will be generating lot of floods along with its tributaries as well as its distributaries, right? You can see the floods in Assam as well as in Bangladesh country, right? So the floods would be having a devastating effect on the infrastructure which was present in those particular areas, right? So this was the thing which is happening because of the Brahmaputra river in the northeastern states. But when compared to the other Himalayan rivers or any other peninsular river, the Brahmaputra is having a high amount of silt. So because of this reason, you can find that there would be many riverine islands. So whenever the deposition of silt is happening, what happens? The river would be changing its flow direction, right? The direction of flow of the river would be changed because of all the silt gets deposited in a particular area, right? So because of that reason, you can see the lot of changes in the direction of this particular Brahmaputra river when compared with other Himalayan rivers as well as the peninsular river, right? So these are the things which was given in 9th class NCERT, and in higher classes when you are going for 11th class, there you will be reading regarding Indian physical features, right? So there is a separate book, right, which we will be reading regarding the entire India. So there again we will be reading regarding this particular drainage system. So there in that book we are having more content, right? So we would be confining to this content because of this constraint of the 9th class, right? So when we are going to the higher classes, we would be seeing the higher content which was given in those books, right? I hope you got my point. And in next part, we would be seeing the rivers which are there in peninsular India. So until then, thank you so much for watching this video. If you are having any doubts, just let me know in the comment section. I will be clearing those doubts in the next class.